Mixed reactions continue in the wake of Joseph Sepp Blatter's re-election as the president of the World Football Governing Body FIFA. As expected, some are ecstatic, while for others it was a huge disappointment. Tonight on Matchpoint, we ask, what does his win mean for African football, and can he fix the sport's tainted image? Hello and welcome to Matchpoint, the weekly program that brings you African sports news, action, features and highlights from the continent and beyond. I'm Mahia Mutwa. Also coming up in this edition, South Africa's top triathlete hopes for a good showing on the World Triathlon Series. And Ghana partners with England to improve women's national hockey team standards. Well, let's start with the recently concluded FIFA elections. FIFA President Sepp Blatter has downplayed the U.S. criminal proceedings launched against the organization rocked by scandal earlier this week. He told reporters he does not fear being arrested by the FBI. Blatter was voted in for a fifth term as president of football's governing body, and he believes he's the right man to turn the organization around. CCTV's Daniel Williams reports.
FIFA has been cast under a cloud in recent weeks. Despite his critics circling, Sepp Blatter once again emerged triumphant. But the celebrations following his fifth presidency election victory have been muted, given world football's governing body remains engulfed in a corruption crisis.
Some people will say you are the head of the organisation and should know if a $10 million payment is going through FIFA. Is that incompetence or intentional negligence?
Neither nor. This is a problem I do not enter, I have just said. And we will not go further if this is an investigation on that. The only thing I can say that I have no $10 million.
Blatter once again questioned the timing of the US criminal proceedings, claiming they were timed to interfere with the FIFA Congress. He admits the personal attacks have hurt him, but he maintains he has nothing to hide.
If somebody are making investigations, they have all right to do so, and if they do it the correct manner, and if they do it as it is usually in international right done, I have no concerns about that, and I have especially no concerns about my person.
Well, this is a controversy unlikely to go away anytime soon. US authorities say their investigation into alleged corruption is just the tip of the iceberg, while a separate investigation by Swiss authorities into the awarding of the 2018 and 2022 World Cup is also ongoing. Despite that, Blatter remains convinced only he can turn it around.
It's very easy. You have seen the results of the Congress yesterday. The Congress, they are of the opinion that I am still the man to go into these problems and to solve these problems.
And those problems are stacking up. FIFA's relationship with UEFA, European football's governing body, is in tatters. Sponsors have also voiced their concerns. Blatter may be president once again, but the crisis is far from over. Dan Williams, CCTV, Zurich.
Well, and the South African government says as far as it's concerned, as the host of the 2010 FIFA World Cup, the organizing committee of the event had received a clean audit from a reputed auditing company. Minister in the presidency, Jeff Radebe's comments were corroborated by Sports Minister Fikile Mbalula.
On FIFA, I was also part of the local organizing committee. When you recall, Sepp Blatter, the president of FIFA, at the end of the 2010 World Cup, which was reputed at the time as the best ever, excellent World Cup, he gave us, I think, 8 or 9 out of 10. But coming to the issue that came yesterday, Ernst & Young is a reputed company, auditing firm. When we concluded the FIFA World Cup here in South Africa, we got a clean audit report. So what came yesterday I think the due process will take place.
Right, so to give us some more on the just concluded FIFA elections, we can now go live to Dan Williams, who joins us from Zurich. Dan, obviously mixed reactions to Blatter's re-election on Friday. What was the mood like among the delegates, though, in Zurich?
Well, I think it's pretty fair to say that it's mixed at best. Certainly the corruption scandal that erupted midweek certainly took a lot of people by surprise and overshadowed this whole presidential election and the whole Congress as a whole. And UEFA were the most outspoken before the election, and they've certainly been the most outspoken afterwards as well. Michel Platini, the UEFA president, continuing to call for Sepp Blatter to step down. David Gill, the former Manchester United chairman and current FA vice chairman, he has decided not to take up his place on the FIFA Executive Committee, saying that his reputation cannot be damaged by this. So certainly UEFA are giving their calls and their concerns for FIFA going forward. And as you heard there as well, in that report, the media is certainly not holding back either, with Sepp Blatter, letting him know exactly what the media feel. And we've seen a whole bunch of venomous reports, certainly across the European media, the English media in particular. So certainly the mood amongst the delegates is at best fairly mixed. But as you can see, although Sepp Blatter has once again got a fifth term as president, certainly the crisis surrounding FIFA has not gone away.
Well, Dan, speaking specifically about the vote, which areas or confederations did Blatter get support from and why?
Well, certainly what Sepp Blatter has done over the 17 years of his presidency is that he's shared the pie around somewhat. He's managed to give some of the non-European countries, if you like, the non-European, non-South American countries, a much bigger say, much greater say in the way the game is run. And certainly in the likes of Africa and Asia, that he can count on widespread support throughout the continents. In Africa, you can travel across many different places. I went to Mauritius and I saw the FIFA School of Excellence there, and that's mirrored across the continent, it has to be said. And of course, he delivered South Africa Africa's first ever World Cup during his presidency for 2010. And certainly, if you think of some of the other tournaments that he's also arranged, including the FIFA Club World Cup as well in Morocco, Sepp Blatter talks up Africa, talks about his love for Africa and the game of African football. And you have to say, on the whole, he's delivered, and in return, he can now count on their votes.
Finally, Dan, obviously it has been a tumultuous week for world football following, of course, the arrests. But after the vote and the events that preceded the election, do people that you've spoken to there in Zurich still have faith in the way football is run in the world?
Well, often I think it's fair to say that, after a while the administration of sport takes a back seat and football takes over, and you start discussing that, and it kind of, as I say, just disappears somewhat. The trouble for FIFA is that this doesn't look like it's disappearing anytime soon. Of course, you've still got these two ongoing investigations, two separate investigations, one from the US authorities and another from Swiss authorities here, that's looking into the way the 2018 and 2022 World Cups were awarded. So that's not going away. There's the potential of further revelations coming forth from there. And there's, of course, as well, we still have the whole issue surrounding the Qatar World Cup as well. There's a number of stories of abuse, of poor labour circumstances, a number of deaths that have taken place there with construction workers. And that again is just continuing this kind of bad news story for FIFA. Added to that, we've also got, as we mentioned earlier, the problems with UEFA, the problems with sponsors, and of course the media is certainly going out on an all-out attack against Sepp Blatter. So this is unlikely to disappear. We're unlikely to just be talking about football anytime soon. As I say, this is a situation that is very much soured, and although Sepp Blatter is president, it certainly hasn't changed his circumstances.
All right, Dan, thank you very much for that insight. That is CCTV's Dan Williams joining us live from Zurich. But of course, the conversation is far from over. Let's continue talking about this. Joining us now in studio is Hussein Mohamed, who is no stranger to the way football is run here in Kenya and across the continent. He is a football administrator here in Kenya. Hussein, I'll begin by asking you, what is your take on this scandal and the allegations in FIFA?
Well, to start with, I think first it's a sad day for football because as much as Blatter has not been directly linked to the corruption yet, there's also what you call moral responsibility. And as a leader of an organization that has been marred by so much corruption, it is the right thing to do to step aside from that position and let justice or due course take its full run. So for us sports administrators who want to see change and who want to see the game develop, especially here in Africa, I think it's a very sad day. And to also counter the notion that football has gained under Sepp Blatter's rule or tenure is a fallacy, really. What has Africa gained over the years? If you look at, the World Cup came to South Africa. What happened after that? Over these years, we've never seen grassroots football develop in Africa. And it's very sad that the same countries that are marred by corruption across all other platforms are the same countries that basically have voted in Sepp Blatter again.
Well, Hussein, just picking up on that, obviously, like we heard before, and what we keep hearing is that African officials say that they have fared better under Blatter. But people like yourself, I suppose, say they want to see more development of the beautiful game and improvement of standards here in Africa. That's obviously not happening. Why is that?
Absolutely, and Kenya is a very good example. Over the last 5 years, there has been absolutely no activities taking place at the grassroots level. We have not developed the infrastructure. We don't have any competitive youth football going on. All the money that has come from FIFA has not been accounted for. And what the officials do is they hide under the FIFA statutes. And every complaint that is taken to FIFA is not acted upon, which means by omission or by commission, they actually support corruption, or they actually protect the people who are mentioned in corrupt cases to do with football. Again, back to Kenya. The president of the federation today is adversely mentioned in a dossier which is at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, but no action seems to be taken. FIFA has refused completely to act over the years where people have adversely been mentioned. So there has to be very deliberate efforts to actually tackle corruption within the game. And I think the chicks have come home to roost. This is just the tip of the iceberg. What FIFA has done tremendously well over the years is devolve corruption to the affiliate members.
Finally, Hussein, you are a football administrator, as we've said, trying to promote football, but also a critic of how football is run in Kenya. It's almost unfair to call you an administrator because you did run in the last election against the current president of the Football Kenya Federation. What can be done differently, in your opinion, to the way that football is run here in Kenya to get it back on track, keeping in mind that the last time the country was in AFCON, the Africa Cup of Nations, was a number of years back?
Fundamentally, there's three things that must happen. First, we must hold people accountable. We must expect results from wherever or whenever government invests in anything, because this is taxpayers' money. So a proper audit needs to be done on all the investments that have been put by government and by stakeholders into the game. We need to develop the infrastructure. We don't have enough stadia in the country for our youth to utilize. And thirdly, we must professionalize and commercialize football in Kenya. Grassroots football is the basic step for us to start on or to start with. Without a strong foundation, then having a roof over our heads means nothing because it will collapse. So for these three things are key in ensuring that we have proper football management, and we have very competitive leagues right from the bottom to the top. In the absence of this, we will continue experiencing the mediocrity and the ineptitude and incompetence that we are currently facing in football administration.
All right, Hussein, thank you very much for speaking to us here on Match Point. That was Hussein Mohamed, football administrator here in Kenya. And we will continue to see how indeed Kenyan football turns out with the FKF holding elections later this year in November. Well, it's time for us to take a quick break. Still to come here on Match Point. South Africa's top triathlete hopes for a good showing on the World Triathlon Series. Welcome back. Now, Richard Murray flies the flag for South Africa on the World Triathlon Series and is touted by many as the one to watch this year as the season heads to Europe. Murray finished second in London last year and says he wants to make a big statement in 2015 ahead of the Olympic Games next year, as C.S. Duplessis now reports.
Richard Murray is South Africa's top triathlete and is on a quest to dethrone the best the globe has to offer on the World Triathlon Series. The effervescent 26-year-old knows with every event he participates in, he is closing the gap on the competition and getting closer to yet another podium finish.
Last year we had a good showing there. I came second behind my training partner Mario Mola. There's definitely, you know, racing in front of the Brownlees on home turf is always a difficult thing. You know, they've got the mad support behind there, and you know, going in there, you know, I've learned a couple of things from this year. You know, I'm a little bit over eager sometimes. I've got a bit of ADD problem from, you know, now and then, and you know, I definitely need to hold it back a bit on the run. You know, I like to go all out and just give everything from the start, but I think I need to hold it back a little bit and, you know, pace myself correctly in the run to get the performance that I want.
Being a strong runner and cyclist, Murray has always had to focus on the swim, as it is an aspect of the sport he is eager to improve on.
I'm very positive about it. You know, I spent a lot of time. This is my first winter I've had in 4 years now. I went to Europe for a big block. You know, I put in a lot of work. It was really expensive, and you know, I needed to invest. It was an investment in myself and my career. And you know, I spent all that time overseas, and I only got 15 seconds quicker on my swim. But you know, that 15 seconds is closer on the bike and puts me in contention for the run. So you know, I'm definitely confident, and I think some of the guys are seeing as well. My best swim to date in Cape Town, I was only about 15 seconds off on the swim. So definitely, you know, things are moving forwards, and you know, for me, that's a big thing.
The Commonwealth Games bronze medalist maintains that there are many talented triathletes coming through the ranks in South Africa.
The one thing we always look back onto is that a lot of the international guys will say, how do all these South African guys come through sometimes? Because they realize, they look and they say, yeah, we probably, you know, the funding side, we're not the strongest, you know, on the coaching side, we're not the strongest either, but, you know, we're a very strong nation, we're a multicultural one, and, you know, it's definitely, we've got that passion and that drive, and you know, in sports and things, we definitely put it all out there, we never hold back. So there's definitely, you know, the talent and the skills that we have in the country are amazing, and you know, to be able to hone that on further along the line towards Tokyo 2020 and you know, further, I definitely think we've got the ability and stuff. We just need the backing and the insight to actually drive that forwards.
South Africa's top triathlete is putting the final touches on his preparations before he jets out for the 6th stop on the World Triathlon Series in London this weekend. Richard Murray is aiming to go one better than in 2014, where he finished second in the English capital. C.S. Duplessis, CCTV, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Uganda beat Rwanda today to progress to the third round of the Africa Under-23 Championship qualifiers. The home side carried a 2-1 aggregate lead into the second leg, while Rwanda needed a win of 2 goals or more, but barely threatened to overturn the deficit. Instead, it was Uganda that showed more intent going forward. Area Sekisambu's speed and trickery caused the visitors all sorts of problems, and Uganda broke the deadlock on the hour mark when John Semazi tapped in his first international goal. 2 minutes later, Farouk Mia acrobatically fired in the second for a 2-0 victory. Uganda advanced 4-1 on aggregate and will face Egypt next in the third round later in July. The championship qualifying rounds will decide the participating teams for this year's edition, to be staged in Senegal.
very proud with the players, the way they have conducted, the way they have controlled the game. There are some lapses of concentration where opponent had some, I want to call them half chances, but this is when the kids under 23, underage category is growing. They are still having those childish mistakes. How the time goes, we need to polish them, to make them ready for the senior competitive football and to give us what we expect in time is in front of us.
Yeah, we are disappointed to lose the game, but also I think it's good for us because I can see the boys, the way they are improving their game, the confidence is coming, and I'm very thankful for them for the performance they showed. Though we missed a lot of chances which we would have capitalized on, but that's football. I think we need to keep on working, and congratulations once again to the Uganda team.
Well, it's time for us to take another quick break. You're watching Match Point, still to come. Ghana partner with England to promote women's national hockey team standards.
Hussein Bolt's in town. We've got a rugby version. I'm not sure what sort of a dance that is.
Kiranesh Dibaba of Ethiopia wins 10,000 metres gold.
Lewis, well done. You're an absolute legend.
Welcome back. Let's talk hockey now for Ghana's women's national team, the Black Sticks. Qualification to the Commonwealth Games or the Olympics would be a dream come true, and their goal could be made a little bit easier following the signing of a 4-year hockey development partnership with England, dubbed Hockey Tap West Africa. The program recently got underway in Ghana and aims to improve technical aspects of the game in the West African country.
Ghana's two main cities of Accra and Kumasi will be the home of the 4-year program, which is specifically aimed at the country's top female players. The partnership came out of an initiative from the Federation of International Hockey, England Hockey and UK Sports in conjunction with the Africa Hockey Federation. Hockey administrators and officials hope the initiative takes off well.
I just hope that the coaches and umpires would take advantage of this course to learn as much as you can from these experienced persons. And I also would like to encourage our women's team. We have a big task ahead of us. We must commit ourselves to what we must do, and we pray that you get as much information as you can from those who are coming here, both the players and the technical team.
But the program is not just for players. With the high-performance training center in the works for the women's national team, also included will be youth clinics, coaching courses and umpiring courses to raise the level of the sport.
What they really need are some specialists to come in and just give them a little bit of guidance on how to really make the most effective and efficient use of their resources. And because Ghana, we can use that as a hub, we can then bring in people from Sierra Leone and Nigeria and Togo and Ivory Coast, places like that, to kind of in the region, to kind of help support them as well, but using Ghana as a base.
With the Olympics and the Commonwealth Games on the horizon, the national women's side will be hoping to use the training to gear up for qualification attempts.
It's been very interesting. We realize that there are a lot of skills that we have, but we are not able to implement it when we play. But as we went through today's section, we realized that those skills that we have are being utilized. They are telling us when and how to use it. And I think if we are able to do that exactly, we're going to make a lot of impact in the continent.
The course will also include trainees from 5 other West African countries, including Nigeria, Cameroon, Sierra Leone, Togo and Cote d'Ivoire. Leslie Murungu, CCTV.
Finally, this week on our Matchpoint Top 5 segment, we're looking at rugby 15s and counting down tries scored. with some of the continent's and indeed the world's best players coming from South Africa. We round up the top 5 players to touch down in the Springboks jersey for this week's Top 5. To kick off our countdown at number 5 is Brayton Pauls. The now retired Bok scored 26 tries for South Africa and is also one of the most capped South African wings ever, featuring in 64 tests between 1999 and 2007. Pauls, who played his final test in July 2007 against New Zealand in Christchurch at the age of 31, also turned out for the national team at 7s and under-21 level. At number 4 is a name every South African rugby supporter knows. The 34-year-old Jean de Villiers has had a storied career with South Africa and is known as one of the team's best leaders to date. The Springboks captain has featured in 106 tests for the side and scored 27 tries to edge Pauls by 1 so far. Yet it's highly unlikely that the 2008 and 2013 SA Rugby Player of the Year will stop just there. Jacques Fourie is at number 3 of all-time try scorers for South African rugby. Despite being the second youngest player on our list, Fourie retired from the national team in December last year. In between his October 2003 debut and his last test in October 2011, the 32-year-old scored 32 tries in total. Fourie now plies his trade in Japan, where he plays for the Kobe Steelers. With 38 tries is our number 2, Joost van der Westhuizen, now confined to a wheelchair due to a motor neuron disease. The former scrum half retired from international rugby in 2003 as South Africa's record cap holder. His career saw him peg his place in South African rugby history after he played an instrumental part in helping the team to the historic World Cup victory on home soil in 1995. Finally, at number 1 of all-time South African try scorers is 3-time South Africa Rugby Player of the Year, Brian Habana. At just 31, he is the youngest player on this list and has amassed a whopping 57 tries in 106 caps. The Toulon star made his test debut in November 2004 at the age of 21 against England in London and has never looked back. He's also the 4th highest try scorer of all time, with every indication that he's nowhere near done. It may be a long time before another Springbok unseats Brian Habana as top South African try scorer. Well, that's it for this week's edition of Matchpoint. Remember, you can send your feedback to matchpoint@cctv.com. You can also visit our Facebook page, CCTV Africa, or stay in touch on Twitter. The handle is, as always, CCTV News Africa. Thanks for watching. We leave you this week with our move of the week, which comes from the Ostrava Diamond Spike, where Kenya's YouTube athlete Julius Yego broke the national record in the javelin.